Well, hello everyone. My name is Justin Sky. I'm CEO of roserocket. Welcome to TIA. Welcome to TIA Live. I'm joined here with my guest Alfonso from Lean Solutions. He is the CTO over there. How you doing today? How's the show going so far?
Great. Thanks, Justin. Show's going amazing. Very excited to be here.
So why don't you start us off? Tell me a little bit about Lean Solutions. What's exciting in 2025 for you guys?
For sure. So I think Lean Solutions Group has been going through an enormous amount of transformation recently. We are commonly known as a nearshore services provider, which name we don't actually like too much anymore. The advent of technology and everybody talking about AI, we feel we had to take a step up. What we do is we provide back office operations for over 600 companies in the logistics space and healthcare, financial services, about 12,000 employees across Latin America, the Philippines, and some other outsourcing locations. And we've been doing from operations work to marketing, sales, technology even, about 1,000 engineers, give or take, for about 10 years now. And today, we've been talking a little bit about what's new for Lean in terms of tech. Yesterday, for example, at Media Day, we announced Talent Queue, our new AI placement tool, so you can get people faster, get access to some of the new AI talent that we've been actually training over the course of a couple months on AI tools, things like AI voice, AI workflows, things like that, and a lot more to come.
Of course, the hot button issue in 2025 for any CTO, probably keeping them up at night, is the AI revolution coming. Does that pose a challenge specifically for Lean because you have such a large workforce and are augmenting some things that perhaps AI could do in the future? And are you seeing it happen now, or is that too far out at this moment?
I think that's the whole tricky part of this entire transformation, which is we sit in the middle of an enormous amount of talent that has been providing cost reduction for our customers for years. Mm-hmm. And we talk about a 40% cost arbitrage savings from the US cost versus what you get in Latin America. But there's a 1-year cliff. After the year, customers are like, now what? What are you providing to us on top of that incredible cost savings that you've done for years? And the answer is technology. And I believe that that's the next step for Lean Solutions Group, which is essentially to go beyond the 40% cost savings. What does this mean for us? It means being able to now dive deeper into our customers' operations and find out if there's opportunities for us to do more with the same, which is, in my sense of the interpretation of the word, is productivity. Mm-hmm. But we'll eventually get into do more with less. So the efficiency side of this is, in a way, cannibalize our own business and find ways to provide productivity with technology, plus the people that are going to be essentially exception handlers in the back end.
And so you're really speaking about that harmony between those two layers of where do you want the human in the loop and where do you want the technology to take the human out of the loop, if you will.
Yeah.
And so with that, and given that theme, how are we thinking about the next 2 years? Is this going to happen really rapidly? Should people be scared, or is this something that is happening slowly? Which way are we going here?
It's a really, really great question. And I think about it in terms of ratios. Mm-hmm. So the human versus tech ratio is going to scale rapidly. And what happens is there's a lot of promises going around about that ratio being incredibly high. But everything in life happens at the expense of something else, right? And with technology today, the reality for me as a technologist, seeing how the technology is able to perform today, that ratio should be kept small. As we prove out the tech, as we make sure that it's actually delivering on the value that it's promised. A lot of smoke and mirrors out there.
Oh, yeah.
And once you are sure of that, and companies have put sort of their right their dollars in the right investment buckets, then you increment that ratio. What does it look like today? I've talked to some companies where they have a 1-to-1 ratio with technology. So for every person, they have some type of augmentation of their technology. I mean, you'd think that'd be obvious from my seat because so many people, right? But I do have some implementations that have gone as far as 1-to-3. Where do I see it going in the next year or two? You're definitely going to have the 1-to-10 and 1-to-15s in there. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. I do not feel so. I feel like it'd be irresponsible for companies to approach full autonomous automation, and that's why it's a journey from assisted to autonomous. that will be very staggered. I think we'll see very slow increase in the first years, and then in the probably 2 to 3 year mark, it'll just skyrocket.
Yeah, the tidal wave will crash over. For us, we're a next generation TMS, and so we get to see some people who are coming into our customer base are very at that bleeding edge, that innovator, and then all the way back to, hey, I'm not looking to take that big leap of risk. What I find it interesting in how we're approaching this from an AI perspective is, I think there's going to be 3 phases, and I'd love your commentary here. I think phase 1 is you're really going to want to have a human in the loop. Nothing happens without a human checking, auditing, saying yes or no.
Yeah.
Then I think as trust increases, you're going to want to go human on the loop. And so they're watching the automations loop around, and they're maybe interjecting, hey, that didn't work, that didn't work.
Right.
And then eventually, and maybe this is the dream or maybe not, human out of the loop. They're not even in the loop,
Right.
A lot of stuff is happening. You must see a lot of different TMSs being all your different customers. Are you seeing similar pushes from those technology vendors to sort of automate some of the tasks at the core level?
Yeah. We're seeing everything. We're seeing a little bit of everything. And what is a common determinator is that people are in tryout mode today. They run 6 to 7 different pilots across not only their lean team, so we've seen a lot of usage of AI within our LSG team members, but also and primarily in the US, where they have their biggest cost centers. So what's happening there is interesting because they're trying to implement technology where they feel that they're going to get biggest bang for their buck, which for us, very interestingly and strategically, will happen in the US first. So some positions in the US, for example, track and trace, let's call it non-revenue generating positions, those will sort of slowly reach those levels of automation where they could be in that first stage that you mentioned, which is you need somebody to oversee it, make sure that it's correct for their first iterations. But once you get to a nice comfort level around that, you won't see that sort of paired up level of expertise anymore. You then start moving into, maybe it's not a person in the US anymore to oversee this process. Now I can have a less senior person oversee this process as well. Then you move into that second range that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So now you have someone that essentially has an SOP of the different things that can go wrong, and they're just in charge of overseeing that, right? And you're losing your tactical sort of decision-making abilities around the process, and now you're just in charge of exception handling.
Yeah.
And then a stage 3, which is the one that I'm really excited about, but also most scared of, is now when you're thinking about just removing the person altogether and then having the agent make autonomous decisions. I feel really scared about that one because it's just so new and we don't really understand what are some of the implications behind fully autonomous decisions in the business. And I feel that it could lead to a pullback of things that shouldn't have been automated going back to manual mode.
Yeah, you said something very poignant there, which is you've got those standard operating procedures, but if the agent isn't respecting those, it could spin off and do the wrong decisions. Very dangerous place to be. I actually think that the next wave, here's my bold prediction on TMSs since you interact with them so often, is wave 1, which was a couple, maybe decades ago at this point,
Yeah.
was all about just getting the information in one system. That was crazy. And then wave 2, which I think roserocket was definitely a part of at the start, but now we're starting wave 3, was all about kind of squeezing and getting really perfect on those operating procedures. So you see brokerage TMSs or you see asset, what have you, intermodal. I think wave 3 is really about, can you capture those specialized, what makes your business unique?
Right.
And so I'm sure you're doing this at Lean a lot, where you're having to capture those perfect things for each one of your customers. Customer A does it so much differently than customer B. They're both moving freight,
Yeah.
but A and B, that's their secret sauce,
Yeah.
if you will. And so I wonder if agents will be able to get there. And how is your team adapting to, hey, all these customers have that secret sauce?
Yeah. So that's such a complex answer to provide because I'll tell you something. When I started this exercise about bringing AI into Lean, I found that we had about, and you're going to think this is crazy, but we had about 1,500 different positions within the company of different job descriptions of things that customers did with us. And one of my first tasks was to consolidate that into fundamental core job descriptions. And the number actually came out to be 15. So imagine that, so from 1,500 to 15 positions. And what that led me to believe is that there's special sauce everywhere. Everybody thinks they have a special sauce, right? Everybody thinks they have their own special process, SOP, and our task is to actually put all that stuff together. This is where Lean plays really well. It's 10 years of full understanding of how people do business, and we don't start an engagement without actually having a fundamental understanding of how they interact with their technology, their TMS system, what they do to do the tasks that they aren't really supposed to do, like send a report back to the manager that's very manual. Like we have a very wide view of everything that's happening across all those positions, and that's where we feel we have a very strong strategic advantage. Now, it's very difficult for us to be able to say we're going to have just a silver bullet that's going to be helpful for everyone. We have to go and kind of individually run AI assessments that allow us to get to that that suggestion.
Well, you said something interesting, is that a lot of your customers are bringing those solutions in-house and saying, hey, can you try that? Or maybe in my in the States, I'm trying that with my different teams. I think that's actually one of the great strengths or perhaps weaknesses of this entire AI revolution, which is easy in, easy out. Yeah. I can try 6 things because it's so easy to adopt them, but then what's the sticky thing? And so do you see this being a big marketplace over the next little bit where there's going to be 50, 60, 70, 80 vendors, or do you see it sort of culminating into 1 or 2 over time because they'll have some other strength position?
Kind of helped me answer the question there with the comment, but definitely consolidation, right? There's everybody's talking about providing AI solutions. A lot of them are going to be commoditized in the near future, but I don't see too many people working on the core fundamental problems anymore. It's like, you guys, roserocket, like you're the cornerstone technology for most customers to operate on, and those technologies still need to be further built. You need, like, in some ways, and don't bash me for this, but like in a lot of ways, AI voice, for example, it's like a Band-Aid for lack of having strong API connections with your providers, and it will have always a place, but I feel that once we go through this kind of transformation, we're going to see who the real winners are, and we're not going to be able to see them right now. Yeah. We're going to see them probably in that 2-year mark. You're going to have a select number of partners that are going to be working with you on this. You're not going to have 10, 15 pilots that are going to be running out of time. And, I mean, hopefully you'll have Lean that'll be an intermediary of all these partner technologies, and I think that will help you from like AI getting, where you're crazy managing 100 different vendors and
Yeah, well, when you build a house, you need a strong foundation, and you also don't want 15 plumbers. You want the best plumber, the best electrician, the best drywaller. You don't want the AI Armageddon, as you said. Well, thank you very much. It was great to chat with you today at TIA Conference 2025. My name is Justin Sky. You want to say goodbye and say anything else out for the people?
No, thank you so much. Appreciate the commentary, the questions. Very, very love what you guys are doing in roserocket.
Same with us. We love you guys.
If you guys have any questions about what we're doing, leangroup.com, that's where you can find us. Tons of information about our company, what we do, and our AI stuff. So thank you.
And my name is Justin Sky. Check out tms.ai. Talk to you soon.